All right, welcome to Learning Concrete 5, Season 2, Episode 3. Usually we have Corvin on here with us to help with this project, but he is at a conference today. So I'm going to grab Evan to help me out here in a minute. And we're going to continue where we left off with Episode 2. We took the theme and concretized it and added some headers and footers, but we had a couple of CSS issues with the toolbar and with the header on the theme. So we're going to try to fix those today. And we're going to try to add some global areas to the header and footer, which is kind of standard practice, so the average user doesn't sort of screw up those headers and footers. And then we're also going to try to do some page templates, or sorry, page templates and auto nav templates to get the menu bar working, and possibly, if we have time, some of the other sort of elements of the theme. So I think to start, do just a little bit of review here for those who are just joining or wanting to get started with this sort of stuff. Personally, I am also learning Concrete 5 as we go, so it's an authentic experience here. So what we're going to do is really quickly walk through how to make a clone of the repository in GitHub that Corvin added last time, and how to set it up really quickly and make sure it's working, and then we'll actually do some development from there. I have fewer screens today, actually working on my laptop, so sorry if the video right now is a little bumpy, but I am monitoring the Slack channel on my phone here, trying to manage all the screens. So if you do have any questions, we're in the Learning-Concrete5 channel. This is intended to be slightly interactive, so if you have any questions that come up as we go along, feel free to post in the channel, and we'll be checking on it every once in a while to see if there's anything there. So with that, let me start by sharing my screen and go through the steps to get this up and running on this machine here. So I'm going to turn this on here, share my screen, which gives us the really cool Inception thing. Whoa, really trippy. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen now. If you can't see my screen, let me know in the Slack channel. All right, so in the previous episodes, we've been working on this theme Dreamrs repository, which you can see here on the left side of my screen. Corvin committed the changes from episode 2 here. So what we're going to do is clone this repository locally and get it up and running. So if you go here, Theme Dreamrs, you can just click here, clone or download, and grab a copy of this. My copy skills are not working very well. And then you just make a copy, git clone, and paste that in there. And that will clone the repository for you. Probably want to make, I'm just putting it in my home directory here, but you might want to think about a better place to put it. So that made this directory theme Dreamrs here. So we're just going to cd into there. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run composer update, because the not everything we need is committed to the repository. We have this composer.json, which specifies the other components that we need to pull in. So obviously you don't want to commit all those because those are managed somewhere else. So just run this composer update here, and that will bring in all of the extra PHP libraries and dependencies, including the Concrete5 core, because this was set up as a composer-based install to begin with. So this takes a few minutes here to grab all the dependencies. You can see it's installing things from Symfony, Zend Framework, some doctrine, some unit testing there, and get a couple of warnings for some out-of-date packages, but that's fine. Looks like everything ran correctly. Next thing we want to do is to run npm install. And what that's going to do is we have here this file called webpack.mix.js. And that's going to help us building our assets. I believe we're using SAS or possibly less, I can't remember. But it's going to do the compilation to CSS. Oh, well, it says right here, styles. SAS right here, which we set up in the last one. So it's going to compile those SAS files to CSS for us. So we need to run npm install, which is going to bring in all of our JavaScript dependencies to run that. And that's specified in this package.json file here on the left. You can see we're bringing in Laravel mix, less SAS, a couple other things. Okay, looks like we're good on that. It's a lot of packages, 1,000 packages from 542 contributors. All right, so if that's working correctly, we should just be able to cd into this directory here, the Dreamrs, and we should be able to run, you can see here on the left, there are a couple of scripts in this package.json file. We should be able to run npm run watch. Watch here is one of these, and it will build the assets on the fly as it detects changes. And there we go. So that's going to stay there in the background, watching for changes. So yeah, that gives us the build system. Then let's see, so we've got the JavaScript dependencies, we've got the PHP dependencies. Next thing we need to do is to cd into the public directory. And I'll just show this over here on the left. So we're going into this public directory here, and that's basically where our web root is. And I'm just going to do this the easy way. There's a couple of different systems for setting these up. I forget what they're called. The names are escaping me right now, but there are a couple of different, there's Valet and a couple other systems that will let you set up local installs really easily. I'm just going to do it the really easy way by using the built-in PHP server, and I'm going to set that up to be my local host on port 8080, and it's going to basically just set up a little web server. And if all's well, if I request this, it should give me a response. Okay, so we have concrete5 installed. Well, we have the files installed, and now it's asking us to actually install concrete5. So to do that, we're going to need a database. So that should be the last sort of thing you'll need to set up from scratch. So we're going to set up a quick database here. And this is running locally. I'm actually using, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Actually using Docker for this. Which you may, it's running in the background now. You may have noticed when I started up the terminal here, I'm using Docker for this. So we just connect to the database here, and we'll just create an empty database, create database, I think we called it Dreamrs. And that's all we need there. So we got an empty database. So if we go through the steps here to set this up, we should be able to give it a name, Dreamrs. admin@example.com, password. I'm using very poor practices by using password as my password, but it's just local, so it shouldn't be a problem. I'm going to put localhost here. Again, bad user practice. Using root as the MySQL username and no password, but that's okay. It's all local. Don't do this on your production sites. Our database name, which we just created here, is Dreamrs. And one last issue here, which I always run into, is the system time zone should match the database time zone. And I always set mine for Greenwich Mean Time. So I'm going to set that there. I'm going to leave all the others as default. And that should be it. Cross your fingers, and it's installing. So what it's doing right now is it's creating all the database tables you need for your basic installation. And that should get us up and running with the theme. The last thing we'll need to do is, once this actually works, we will need to, from within the dashboard, install the theme and apply it to one of the pages to get to the state where we were at the end of the last episode. We'll just wait a second here for this to install. Checking the Slack here, so there are no questions. Feel free to chime in. I know this was kind of quick, but just wanted to give a quick overview of how to get to the state that we ended at last time, in case you're just coming to this fresh. There's also a good exercise for me to remember how to get everything set up, because I am a beginner. Okay, so we're adding block types. Can't think of anything else to review while we're waiting for this. Maybe just the sounds of silence. Close up these files while we're waiting, and open up a directory listing here. So once again today we're going to be cleaning up some of the CSS bugs that we left last time. There was a problem with this toolbar here, overlapping the toolbar and the theme, and then when we scrolled, the theme toolbar would overlap the concrete5 toolbar. So that's going to be sort of the main thing we shoot for. Okay, so that's installed. If you go to edit your site, you'll see that that we don't actually see the theme yet, just a blank concrete5 install. That's because we need to go to the dashboard and go to pages and themes here. And you can see it has the themes available to install. That's what we created in the last episode. If you recall, there was here in this Dreamrs, there was this page theme.php file here, which gives concrete5 all the information needed to actually install this. Go ahead and hit install here. You can see that it's going to add some page types. Go ahead and click OK. And there we go. Now, once again, if we go back to the main page, it's not going to have any change, because all we've done is we've installed the theme. We haven't actually used it anywhere. So if we do, we go to sitemap here. And we have, I just did a blank install here, so there aren't any extra pages. We just take this home page here. We go to design and type. What we're going to do is we're going to switch the theme here from Elemental, the default, to Dreamrs. And we're going to hit save. Now that applied the theme. Now if we go back here, you might be a little surprised because we've got this little hello world here, which Corvin left as part of just showing how to set this up, that there's the different page types. So what we need to do is change from that full page type, page template, to the home page template where we started to apply the theme last time. Now if we do that, so we've set the theme and the page template. Now if we go back, you'll see that we've got, it's mostly hard-coded right now, but we've got the basic theme. and we've got the concrete5 toolbar, and we've got the example of the bug here. You can see the concrete5 toolbar is on top of the theme, and as soon as we start scrolling, it pops up on top of the concrete5 toolbar. So to help out with that, I'm going to bring in Evan Cooper, who is Director of Professional Services at Portland Labs, and he's going to help walk me through the way to fix this and make progress on this theme.
Great. Well, thank you, Mike. Just want to say hi, everybody. I'm going to turn my camera on for a brief moment just so you can get to know, put a face with the name. My name is Evan Cooper. Like Mike said, I'm Director of Professional Services here, and that's Inception over there. Wow. And but yeah, I've definitely chopped a few themes in my day, so I'm excited to jump right back in here with Mike and chop another theme with all of you. So without further ado, we'll cut right back over to the code here. So I'll let Mike take over the screen share here. I don't know how to make you go back to your screen share. Whoa, I love that. I'm never going to get tired of that.
I think I'm controlling the screen share so it doesn't switch back and forth between everybody.
Okay, great. So I think the first order of business, so just the general outline for this lesson will be, we're going to address this kind of overlapping toolbar issue, which is pretty common. It definitely happens here and there. And then we will look at making the header use a page list and an auto nav template, and then we'll do the footer, like Mike mentioned. So plop some global areas in there. So let's get started. So first off, I just want to look at some of the files here. So if we go to, let's go to the page template that we have in use.
So that's going to be the home.php.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, good. And then, okay, so what I'm looking for here is in themes, what you want to have is a class on the header that is .ccm-page. That makes concrete5 happy. So if you go to the, let's see, if you go to the header element, let's check that out because I think it might be included there. The reason I bring this up is because including the CCM page class in the outer wrapper div for the theme is it will actually help with some of this toolbar stuff. So
yeah, I was just realizing I don't actually have any sort of syntax highlighting, so I'm going to quickly try to get that installed here because I don't think I even have an IDE installed here. Just a second. I think this will give it to me. There we go. Let's try. Does that not give me my PHP? Well, there we go. There's PHP mode. I can do that.
We're entering PHP mode.
Well, I was looking for web mode because that one's actually better.
Web mode.
All right, let's try that and see if that gives us. All right.
Hey, that looks nice.
Syntax highlighting there.
Perfect. So you can see here, there's no wrapper around this stuff. So that's part of the issue. The last place I want to investigate, so I'm kind of coming into this from the outside, which is good. This is also kind of a meta lesson of like forensics when you're coming in and analyzing a theme that is pre-existent, because this is a common problem you'll find with folks that have developed a theme. They've left out this very necessary kind of rote bit about CCM page. So if you can open up header top, the element, just to triple check.
Okay.
I just want to make sure.
Do we have a header top? Oh, underscore top. All right. Yeah, so this is where Corvin added the links to all the style sheets and such.
That's right.
He did add this wrapper
Yep,
class.
that's right, and that's correct. So, and that's good. That's getting added. So that is ruled out. So we don't need that. So we will need to find a way to get that thing to jump down. So one quick way to do that, and this depends on the context. Um, there's two ways. If you have a site that like when users are logged in, they don't get the edit bar, then it's a different case because you need to use permissions then to see if they have the ability to write. So you would use a permissions object to check if they can write. But because we're just going to kind of treat this as if you logged into this site, you have editing capability, we can kind of do a different approach, which is just do check the user, and if the user is logged in, we can just add some new styles that add some top padding to compensate for the navigation. So what you would do is I think you could probably just do it here. And bear in mind, there are many different ways to do this, many ways to implement it. Some people like to attach a class to the outer div that you can then reference in CSS. You can do that as well. For right now, what I'm going to have Mike do is just add another bit of PHP here, and we'll just do variable u equals new user.
Or we're going to do it as not part of this class. We are adding a separate class, right?
We can do it either way, but what I was just going to add just a style declaration right there, which other folks might not like. It's up to you.
So up here in the header then.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, not far. I'm thinking of JavaScript here.
Yeah, this man's got a JavaScript app.
What was it? New user?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then you can just hit return, and then you can do u is logged in. And that, and I think so. So we'll use the u is logged in as part of an if statement, and then we'll put in the style declaration right in there. So we'll come out of PHP.
Okay.
Okay. And so I think that we can just apply it to the body. I think that should be fine. So I think if you just do body padding, padding top 48 pixels. Shooting from the hip here, folks. So let's see. It's been a little bit.
Okay.
All right, and then we can write that, and then let's check and see if the theme feels better about it or if it errors out spectacularly. No, it didn't like that. Let's see. Can you? Yeah, let's check the body tag. Might be have to be HTML. I'm not sure.
Might have to be what?
Oh, that HTML tag. But let's just check the body tag right now. Nice. So it's got that padding. So change that padding to margin. And that took a foot. Okay, and that's not doing it. All right.
I think this is being absolutely positioned or something.
Yeah, that is I think okay, to the top. You're right. So that's all right. So you would need to actually change the absolute positioning top property of that element that's being absolutely positioned to 48 pixels from top.
Okay, so let's just see here.
Yeah, that's like main menu. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so we're going to target main, was it hyphen?
I think it's underscore. Alas.
We're going to do that as top.
Just the top property. So yeah.
And we're going to add an important here, just
for really aggressive.
There we go.
Ah, that's better.
Nice.
That feels
Well,
nice.
solves two bugs in one, doesn't it?
I suppose so.
There's a little bit of an animation there, but I'm just going to ignore that for now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these times too, like it's like when folks are in edit mode, like they will understand that, things are kind of a little different than the normal. But so that's good for now. That gets us past that. Again, just to reiterate, if you wanted to do that in a more robust fashion, there is a kind of more complex. You can basically get the page object, and then you can create a new permissions object with the page object, and then check if that can write. And that's the most robust way to do this. But this is the kind of more the quick way to get us through, just to give you an example of how you could do that. So.
Okay. Just checking the Slack channel here. We've got a couple of questions coming in that I apologize I missed. So Mark B was asking about in the setup. He said he thought that C5 installer creates the database as well. Was unneeded. Yeah, so Mark, you do need to create the database by yourself first, and then it's just an empty database, and then tell concrete5 where it is, and then it should take care of the rest. Oh, it looks like Mike Esparza answered that as well. Thanks, Mike. There's another question here about how we've done this new user. Jay Steele is asking that shouldn't it be done like this? If we have u equals app make, and then concrete core user class. Do you know about that, Evan? Is that sort of the new standard?
It doesn't look familiar to me, but it very well could be. That's not something I'm familiar with.
Well, we can certainly see if it works.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. No, I'm gonna go with no.
Make.
I'm not sure if you'd have to do some sort of use statement or something like that.
No, I think I just got a syntax error here.
Oh man.
No, make on null.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure on that one. But in the short term, yeah.
Okay.
That will work.
Also, one other person, Dimger, I'm not sure, Dimger, how to pronounce your name. He noted that we're using is logged in. He said there's also check login. Is that a possibility, or is logged in the best here?
Yeah, again, this is just kind of what I'm used to using in my own theming experience. Looks like that can work as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's half dozen of one and 6 the other, but that works too.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. And then Mike Esparza was just pointing out the app is probably not in scope right now. And Dimger is pointing out that the reason why you'd want to use check login is because is logged in is deprecated.
See, I'm showing my age here. Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're keeping me honest, because yeah, it's been a hot minute since I've built a theme straight up. So
it's probably a good opportunity to point out that there is the API documentation here, and you can just search is logged in. I think you can do that, and it'll probably say here, that it is deprecated.
There you go.
Is registered instead, or check login.
Cool.
So, good point.
Yeah, thank you. That's good. I will remember that.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep the check login there for this part.
Yep, I like it. I like it. We're all extreme programming together, you guys. This is incredible.
There you go. Thanks, Dimmer.
New millennium. So okay, cool. So that works well. So let's go on to the next challenge. So I think what we'll do up next here is let's do up the header.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's pop over to that element.
Okay.
Cool. So this is an interesting one. I was thinking about this one before we began. So in my experience, when Franz and I were going through the Tau, we talked about a lot of, there's always the business need versus the technological capability, right? So it's tempting to want to make, because concrete5 is such an incredible CMS, and it makes it so you can edit anything in context. Now, when you deliver a theme to a client where, for instance, the company-wide logo or site-wide logo in the upper left is in a global area and able to be edited, and sometimes you're kind of borrowing trouble because all it takes is one person to kind of get creative, or only one person wants the Christmas version of the logo, and things can get kind of haywire. So it's up to you as the builder to decide, like, does it make more sense to make this harder to change? So there's 3 ways you can make this implemented. One is you can do what I said and add the global area and then put like an image block in there that is the logo. That's one way to do it. That's the most, in context editing friendly. Second, you can do what is you create a stack in the background, and then in the theme, you call the stack by name. You definitely check if it's an object first, and then you implement it that way. So that way, it's not actually accessible through the actual editing interface. So people are less likely to errantly click it and destroy it. And oh no, your site's not branded anymore. The logo is not bigger. It's non-existent. And then the third way is you just straight up hard code it to a file in the theme, and you say, you know what, no one ever needs to touch this. Da 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 da. So just for fun, I say let's do the intermediate step, which is a little bit complicated, but I think it'll be a good. I think everybody knows we're going to add some global areas in the footer, which is fine. So I think this will be a fun way to show a different way to do this. So that said, first off, Mr. Larson, if you would, let's create a stack in the dashboard called header logo.
Okay. We're going to go stacks and blocks here. I'm just going to go new stack. Header logo.
Works for me.
All right.
All right. And now go back. I would just go to the theme or the actual like internet browser and download the theme because I'm just that lazy, and I would plop it in there, add it as a block in there.
Sorry, what do you mean? Download?
Just grab the logo, however you want. If you want to get it from the file system, or if you want to just download it straight through the browser. I was just saying
I see.
Yeah, I'm the worst about just
Right.
download it again.
So just as a straight image or as a bit of HTML?
Let's do it as an image.
Okay. I'm going to choose the image, and I'm going to upload it from our little file here, theme Dreamrs.
Yeah, see, this is the more responsible way to do it.
Make sure I can remember where everything is here.
That's true.
There we go. Image. Is it image? Wait, image or image? Okay, image. All right, so we got the logo here, this guy right here. All right, so I'm going to upload that.
Splendid.
Close. And there we go. Select that. And then we're not going to link it to anything, are we? Is this linked? It is linked.
Yeah, usually you link to the home page. That's kind of your standard practice, user experience practice.
So we'll use the built-in concrete5 here and link it.
Love it. And then throw in some alt text for good measure. Let's do just say, sure. That'll do.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's add it. I guess you could add a title too, actually. I don't know if I don't know. I guess it depends. I think the alt tag is enough for that.
I'm good with that.
And then make sure you publish it, because that's one bit. And now I'm going to show you how to do this wrong first, just because it's so common and it's such an easy code mistake to make. How are we doing in Slack? Is everybody?
Oh, there's a lot of conversation going on about the proper way to set up the app with the app variable with facade and stuff. I'm not going to go over all of that because it looks like everyone's got it sort of under control. But yeah, we'll clean up the actual file maybe afterwards when we commit it. But yeah, definitely you can create the app variable within the scope by using the facade, get facade application, and then you can use all the cool stuff like making it helper image and stuff.
Cool. All right. That's cool. Okay, well, so let's go back to the header here. So now where the logo is appearing,
Mm-hmm.
oh, interesting. It looks like you guys already started changing the source to the get theme path
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So basically, all we did was make sure that all of the, I mean, you can still see it's all kind of hard coded, but just all the places where we were bringing in the image files and CSS files and stuff. Yeah, just throwing that in there so that it actually loaded and looked sort of normal.
Excellent. Okay, so let's hollow out the image tag portion. We can leave the A tag, maybe? Well, the image is going to be linked. So the downside
Um,
here is that in the theme, the A tag has a class on it already, which is kind of a drag. Um, So it's got navbar brand on it. So I'm not entirely sure what that class is trying to do. But you know what? That's fine. Let's go ahead and just remove the link in the stack since we're going to have it go to the home page anyway. It's always just going to be slash. So that's fine if that's hard coded. I'm not going to, you know, that's a little extreme on the robustitude.
all right, so we'll just set this to no link here.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool.
All right.
And then, yep, let's plop that in there. So now could proceed like we were, just hollowing out the image tag.
Okay, so I'll keep all this, and
Yeah,
then
we'll leave and then make the index.html just go to slash.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. And then, yeah, hollow that guy out completely.
Okay.
Now I'm going to do this wrong, just for folks.
I'm just going to put it here and comment it just so we have it for reference
Fair enough.
for a second.
All right. And so now here, just do PHP and let's see. Let's do then there's any number of ways you can do this in one line, you know, et cetera, but this is the way that I would do it. Just do s equals let's see, I think you might have to use stack. It's been a while, but stack might be in the scope. We'll see. I think you can do stack get by name. I think it's static actually. Just do, we'll see. I think you might have to use the scope. No, like a static, like a hyphen or a colon capital stack colon get by name.
And then we're just going to put in the name of.
Yeah, it's header logo, but do like header logo 2 because we're doing it wrong on purpose. So,
okay.
and then you can, you know, depend. And this is, you know, people might say you should do this business logic elsewhere, which is probably fine. You could probably do the s equals get by name stack get by name at the top of this file or somewhere else. You could do it in the page thing. You could do it anywhere. But for now, just do s s arrow display. Call the display method on it. Okay. So this is going to error for any number of reasons. It might error because I'm not sure if stack is in scope here. So I'm a little, we'll have to see. But just for funsies.
Try it.
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
that is the error I expect to see. So that does mean stack is in scope. So I'm sure this may foment some chatter because I'm not sure if that's the best way to do it, to call it anymore. But for now, so this happens a lot when people are calling stacks because, and this happens with just anything, right? You just need to always check and make sure your objects are legit before you start calling methods on them. So that said, let's go back and for now, you can grab that the s equals stack, and just for good measure, let's just throw it at the top of this file. Again, you know, there's any number of best practices you can implement here, but this is just what we'll be doing for now. And then I would do it after the and then do a is object if is object, you know, um, s, you know, then do the, or actually I'm trying to think where you would do this, where you would do the display. I think, yeah, okay. So actually take this out of the top. I think we'll do this closer to where it's actually going to happen. Yeah. So where you've hauled it out the tag, just go ahead and hit return so we can have a little bit of room to work between the opening and closing A. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and take that. There you go. And then, yeah, this is where you do check if it's an object. I think that sounds right to me. So now it shouldn't show anything.
Yeah.
But it doesn't fry, and that's what we want. We'd much rather have a blank logo than a fried site. So let's go back and
I
then
think just to emphasize, this was kind of a core concept for me, is like, because it's a CMS, we want users to be able to edit a lot, but then also there's the risk that they might change the name of something, where, in these templates we have to rely on that because we've got the name hard coded here. And so I kind of learned the hard way the first couple times I was doing some stuff, that I would just assume that it existed because I created it. But you can't, even if you're got an authenticated user, you still can't trust the users. So you do need to check to make sure it's an object. So just a little commentary there.
yeah, and that's a good point in the sense that it's always a question of degree, right? Like we are removing this from the user's immediate ability to screw it up by making it not clickable, but it's only one step removed where they can still screw it up in the dashboard. So it's always the only way to be absolutely 100% certain would be to completely make it impossible, but then it's a code change if you ever need to update it, which is also kind of a pain.
Yeah.
So it's all a balancing act. It's all a decision you need to make. So let's make that name right.
Okay.
And now, hopefully,
There you go.
yay, I love it. And so if you click it, it should take you to the home page.
Well, we're on the home page, but yeah, it sure
Yep.
does.
Yeah, well, it took away the CID, so it redirected. So
Yeah.
yay. So that's good. So next up,
Well, just before I forget, I'm going to remove this little comment here, so
that's nice.
clean things up a bit.
Lovely. Okay, so should we check anybody chattering? Is that good?
All right, let's see. I think things have calmed down as far as, yeah. If you do have any questions, just speak up. It looks like people are following along.
Good. All right, so next up, we'll want to start with the navigation template. So we've got that there, which is great. So let's start that out. So first off, let's, the way I would start this is let's go to the theme.
Would it help? Would it help to actually make these blank pages first, so they're actually going to show up, or?
We could do that.
I was just thinking, if we make it, we won't actually be able to test it because it'll only show home, right?
Yeah, I think that we might do that after the fact if we get to that point. We'll just get through this code portion. That's a good point, though, and I do run into that frequently. We're like, oh, now I got to make all these dummy pages.
I think it works, but
yeah, exactly. So let's grab all this goodness.
Okay, so we're going to be basically replacing all of this.
I think you might need the nav. The nav. Scroll up a little bit.
Now that's going to include.
Oh, interesting. It's got the whole shebang.
Yeah, let's just check here. I think the nav.
I don't think it is. I don't think the nav element.
Yeah, I think we're just going to go with this nav bar div here.
Yeah, I think. No, I think it might even be less than that. I think it might just be the UL. Yeah, that's what we need.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So nav bar, nav, the UL. Okay.
Correct, Amundo.
So we're going to go just this guy here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, let's grab that. And I would just stash that in a scratch file or something. But anyway. Good. And so now in the themes directory, we create a blocks directory.
Okay. So blocks.
Yep. And then in here, we'll create page underscore list directory, and then within that, a templates directory, I believe. Now,
explain what's going on here.
So basically, in themes, in your themes directory, you can create overriding templates for blocks. You can't add, I believe, when you're in the theme directory, you can't add actual new blocks. You want to do that outside, and that's a whole nother can of worms with that when you create a package and all that. But when you just want to create templates for existing core blocks, or I think you might even be able to make templates for other blocks if they happen to be present. But anyway, if you want to create a template for a page list or something or any other core block, you can plug them in here in your themes directory, which is great because that means you get templates that are associated with your theme. So that's what we're going to do here. So now we're inside templates, I believe.
We're just going to check really quickly. One thing Corvin was mentioning is that when in doubt, you can always check the elemental theme.
This is true.
Oh, but it doesn't actually have any blocks. What about this Greek yogurt? Does it have? Oh, okay. Well, never mind. We can't check that.
Yeah, I don't know if this was implemented because I mean the thing is for the core, and this is always the fun bit of with core templates is that they are in the core, so all their templates are already available. All their styles apply to templates that already exist within the core.
One thing before we actually build the template is Dimger. I'm sorry again if I mispronounced your name. Is wondering why we're using a page list instead of an auto nav.
He's absolutely right, and I am absolutely wrong. We should be using an auto nav here. I got carried away.
We will eventually.
I did originally intend it to be an auto nav. I just misspoke.
There you go.
But I appreciate it. That's why
So
viewers like you.
So Dimger, we're going to invite you to be on the next episode.
A special guest.
Help out here. All right. Yep. So we've got templates there.
That's right. Auto nav. And then and so then we'll just create a file within there called Dreamrs or header nav. I don't know. We'll call it header underscore nav.php just to be semantic.
Okay.
Okie doke. And hopefully that doesn't exist. So here, what I would do is I would go to the elemental theme, kind of like what we were talking about, or just the core, and I would grab the page, or not the page list, the auto nav view.
So, actually, that's going to be
concrete.
Isn't that going to be here in the blocks?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So
just grab the view.
This one here.
And before you bebop out of there, can you check the templates that already exist in the core right there for the auto nav block? I just want to make sure I'm not. Okay, good. I know that there's responsive header navigation and breadcrumb. I just didn't want to be overriding an existing by saying header nav or something. I was just pulling something out of thin air, so I didn't want to override something that existed, and I'm not. So that's great.
Okay, that's good to point out that if you have a matching file name, it will use that as an override. Yeah. Okay.
Okie dokie. So, doobie-doobie-doo. I've got all that goodness. So you just pop that in there. And so if you scroll down, so this is where the magic happens, is for each pretty much. Yep. And so basically what we want to do here is we don't want to get too crazy in here because the reality is this is probably building most of what we need already. We just need to look at that Scratch file you have and see what is the distinct stuff. Yes. And so, okay. So nav item active. So, excuse me. So I think that active is it's something we have.
I think it's probably this change in background color. Or?
Yeah, it depends on.
It does note this one is active, so.
That's interesting that it doesn't change the color. It might. Yeah, I'm not sure what it does in this theme if it's active, to be honest. All right, and so we go back down to that, and it's got these drop-down ones too. So the way that you determine if you need to have those classes added let's see. I'm just looking at all those attributes. Yeah, there is a couple. If you scroll to the top of the page list or the view we copied in, it has like a ton of properties. See how? Whoa. Let's see. Is first, is last. Sub depth. No, I think there's some commented out, aren't there? Yeah. If you scroll down a little bit.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, this first has sub menu. There you go. Yep. Yeah. So I think, yeah, that one you want, and then scroll down a little bit. Let's see. I think that's all we would need. Blah blah blah. So the only downside of this is it looks like the theme we're using. Um, it looks like it has other things that get applied if uh, if the if it has a drop down. So it applies the class drop down to the li. That's good. And then it's got the link is nav link drop down toggle, and then it's got this ID of nav drop down. So and then it has this data toggle of drop down. Area has pop up true. So I mean we want all that ARIA stuff for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll do is if you look down in our view, yeah, in this bit, so there's logic that's happening here. Echo, right. And where does it actually spawn there's the link tag, okay. So the href, okay. And then it has the target. So we need to up above when I think it does two. So AutoNav I think does two for eaches. It like prepares the data and then it displays the data. And so up at the top where it's adding those classes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a for each. So we're kind of conditioning our data here, making it all moosed up and have some sweet style. We need to kind of add like I'm just wondering if we would add this as a string, kind of like additional data that you would add to the A tag. So yeah, I'm trying to think. You could add the properties because we have fundamentally it looks like we add the classes to the it's funny we add the classes to both the li and the a tag, so that's actually kind of good because it looks like we've got drop down. I can't see. Yeah, drop down, and then but the only downside is see they're not identical, right? So we kind of have to roll our own a little bit here. So I think what we would do is create new properties up there.
Okay.
So where it has submenu, you've got classes nav drop down. Let's see. I think, and I have submenu classes equals nav drop down. Yeah, is this just adding properties? So I'm just trying to think of the best way to include this stuff. Well, for now, let's just move ahead and show how this would work, and then we'll circle back on this part because it's a little bit complex.
Sure.
So basically, there's ELA class navbar nav. So if you scroll to the top of this,
The top of our
the view, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So where does it open the original tag?
The UL is opened right here.
Excellent. Okay, so that we want to change the class there to navbar nav to match our existing stuff.
Do we need to keep that one for concrete5 at all, or can we just change it?
No.
Okay.
Navbar nav, just a hair redundant, and so that's good. And then let's see, does every li Interesting. Oh, let's go. The drop down. Now this is going to be a fun one too. That we may actually change the way it's built, because you can see that when it has these drop down menus, it's doing them as divs
Mm-hmm.
within an li, which is kind of ish. I'm not sure if that's even, um, yeah, in any case. So that one's a little hairy, because the way that the auto nav is going to want to do it, it's going to want to make those child list item elements. It's going to try to nest unordered lists. So what we might end up doing is making the theme conform to the way that concrete5 wants it to, right? So in this case, we'd say, yo, I don't imagine that like we're gonna just do it this way. We're gonna change that to be like UL class drop down. So for instance, um, we would want to check the styles and see if, because what we'll end up doing is converting that div div class drop down menu to probably UL.
Sorry.
That's all right.
This one.
UL.
This one here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that would be UL drop down menu. So go ahead and actually do me a favor. So this is a good way to test this out, right? So let's go back to the theme itself, the header. I don't know if that's where you are now, if this is the scratch.
This is just the scratch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, actually, we want the just header.
Yeah, or yeah, wherever the navigation. So if we plop that back in there for now,
Okay.
and then if you change the divs, yeah, change that div to a UL.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I imagine this is going to go completely haywire, but I'm just on a wing and a prayer here. If you wrap those in LIs,
Okay.
and then if you add the class drop-down item to all those LIs as well, because that's what the auto nav would try to do. And what I'm doing here is just kind of fundamentally being lazy, but I want to see if we can play to what concrete5 wants to do before we start breaking bones here, because otherwise we're going to have to kind of get a little crazy
Mm-hmm.
to make it work. So,
Okay. So let's try to call it up. See if
okay,
it breaks.
let's see what happens. So
So
that,
I did it only to the pages one. Yeah. So just to the pages one. So the blog one is the original.
all right.
And we got that one.
Oh, cool. See, that's what I'm talking about, people. Don't make more work for yourself, because if you can, just bring the classes over. And this is a testament to the theme itself, because it's tag agnostic, and that's what you want. You know
Nice.
what I mean? It's not like I demand this be a div and a tags. You're like, hey, what if it was a unordered list and list items? So that's great. That's going to save us a lot of pain.
Mm-hmm.
That way we don't have to completely rewrite the architecture of this thing. Now, it's still a little bit complicated to get these classes in here. So I know we're running a little low on time. So I think that we'll have to circle back on that one. But I think that fundamentally, this has been good in the sense that all we need to do now to make this work is we need to figure out a way to use that page list logic to determine when we add these drop down menu things using that has submenu conditional clause,
Mm-hmm.
and then making sure that the child list items and links get the proper classes, which I think they could pretty easily now. That the only downside again is we have to find a way to pass along those all the other attributes that are not classes, because right now the auto nav just wants to pass along classes. That's all it's designed to do from the outset. So that's a little bit of custom work that we'll need to do, but all in all, the beauty part is we're kind of like 75% done. page list template at this point. So just to wrap up real quick, go ahead and in the header, if you would add a global area for the navigation, so you can pop this out again.
Okay. So
Or actually, you can grab this output and put it in your Scratch, because we're just going to add it as an HTML block to the global area, just so we have it in place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I'll just replace it with the one that we edited there. Okay.
Yep. And then let's do a global area here.
Okay.
And again, so this is a good example of us doing it the other way, where I'm actually going to make this one editable through the interface and just cross my fingers that people are responsible. So, yep, and that'll just be a new global area. And then we do need to name it.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll call this.
Oh, no, we don't. Or do we? Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So we'll just call this navigation, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then we're just going to display it, or?
Yes, this is the part I always get confused with, because another common pitfall here is when I don't think it'll cause any problems if you pass in. I mean, and again, this is a review for a lot of you folks, but with the difference between global areas and local areas is that local areas, you always need to pass in a page object in that argument for where it says display.
Mm-hmm.
Just go ahead and do throw in C, the variable C in there, and let's just see if it breaks.
Okay.
Because I can't remember. I think it just ignores it and says we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yep. And so, yeah, there's nothing in the area, so clearly there's nothing going to show up. But if you throw it in edit mode, it'll appear. At least it should.
There we go.
Hey, right there. So, so now we've got the area there, and it's ready to take a block instead of the navigation. And so, yeah, if you right now, I don't know if you're able to, just click the area,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, let's add a block.
Okay. So we're going to add HTML block.
Yeah, just throw that in there.
Okay. Oh, looks like we have a really weird, little conflict with JavaScript or something here. It's kind of weird.
Oh, that'll happen. That will happen.
Or, yeah, it's weird. It might just be, I don't know. Let me try that again, because I have this all, limited space here. Yeah, there we go. It might have just been limited space. All right, so
let's paste in our Scratch stuff for now.
Yep.
I mean, this is fundamentally what we had before, but now we're running it through the CMS, which makes us all feel good.
Mm-hmm.
So plug that in. There you go. So that means we've got it. It's ready to accept our AutoNav template, and we're on to the next steps, which will just be, finishing up that AutoNav template. Definitely not a pageless template, and getting that in there. So let's look at Slack real quick here for any follow-up questions.
John the Fish was mentioning that, Jay Steele mentioned that, there's multiple IDs with the same value, so that wouldn't validate, of course. Yeah, that's
good point. That's a good point.
John the Fish mentioned there's a long-standing issue with C5 form helper, that form elements with the same name get assigned the same ID, which is kind of tangential, but good point. Got to have unique IDs. And then Dimger, who was going to be our partner on the next episode, was pointing out you can use disable controls if you want to hide things from evil users. For setting the areas, you can disable the controls.
Interesting. That's fun. Yeah, I think I wonder if that's kind of roundabout what I'm doing there, but that makes sense. Because then, yeah, that's a good idea, because that way, you can still access global areas like stacks through the stacks interface. So you're essentially doing that, without having to do the stack call. So yeah, no, that's a good point, Dimdra. That's that's a fourth way to do it. It's a fourth road.
Just to point out what he was mentioning it would be something like that, disable controls.
Oh yeah, and delete that C because I was just seeing if that worked, but that in a global array you don't need to pass the page object because it doesn't need to know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's just generally, I guess, technically incorrect. Okay, so you write that,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's see.
Do you want me to?
I think if you reload the page, you can stay in edit mode.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that should take
Yep.
place. All right, try. Oh, look at that, locked
Nice.
out. Good tip there.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for letting me come along and share some deprecated method with you. Just kidding. No, but this has been a pleasure. And Mike, thanks for driving.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is a really good learning experience for me, and hope, even though we do stumble through some parts, I hope the authentic nature of the show gives you an idea of what it's really like to develop and to figure things out and solve problems. And we really appreciate all of the feedback in Slack. It makes it more genuine as well. There's one more comment coming in from J.A. Steele. The toolbar display should be CP can display toolbar, not all users can edit. I think that's further discussion on limiting
Yes,
limiting the
yes.
power of your end users.
Oh yeah, I think that's if the toolbar is appearing, I think that's what that was when we would include that extra style.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I think that's a good one too.
I think I've used that in the past and forgotten about
There
that.
you go.
I think that's one of the things with concrete5 is that there are a lot of different methods and objects that are available, and wrapping your head around to all of them and do take some time, but it's worth it because yeah, it's a very powerful system. So yeah, thanks again, everybody. We're going to clean up some of the code here, but we'll commit this, and you can clone it yourself and follow along at home. You can also try to work ahead if you like. We're trying to make this fairly interactive. So make with it what you like, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next one on the 25th of July. And right after this, I will go ahead and make the blog post and schedule the Hangouts so that we don't wait until the last minute, like today, so that you're all aware that it's going on. So thanks, everybody, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.